Hi, I just want to say what a wonderful, beautiful privilege it is to have come to this event. And it would not have happened if I hadn't actually injured my back really badly last year. In fact, this time last year I was in a wheelchair. And I damaged the lower part of my back, my S1 nerve, and I was already carrying about 7 or 8 kilos more than I am now. And over the period of, maybe 2 months, I put on another 4 kilos, which was entirely chocolate and misery food. And I remember one day as I lost both legs, being in a fetal position on the ground, just so frustrated, so caught up in fighting, that I had this moment of surrender, of acceptance of exactly where I was at that moment. And I remember, I had such a fiercely independent person come to the conclusion that I needed outside help, and this is what in my inside I asked for this. My wife came home with this book about this guy called John Gabriel, and as I was reading it, I had so many powerful ahas, and it revolved around, for example, this story about this cat and being
Jesse, my cat.
And the role of being safe. And I realised the power that fear had in actually driving me to eat food. See, when we eat food, I've since realised, it helps us, or it helped me, to feel safe. There's some level of comfort in it. And so that was my attempt to try and get safe from a situation where I was very scared. So part of this process was first of all accepting the situation that I was in. Also, Tracy pointed out beautifully there about it's the power of visualizations. What sits behind that is the power of thought. So in that moment that I found acceptance and actually cried out, there was so much power and emotion in that thought that it got answered. Well, the same thing then begins to happen as you hold this picture of where it is you want to get to. So for me back then it was actually walking, and I had this very strong urge actually to go to Uluru as a walking holiday. So I rang up my wife and I said, I want to go to Uluru. And she said, great, let's set it up for next year. And I said, no, we've got to go now. So literally 3 months later, I went and did this trek around there. And, it was not easy, but it was okay, and we did it. All this time, this process of actually understanding diet, and this is the other thing too, is I stopped fighting this need to have chocolate. That was my first thing. And I started to add in more nutritious foods. And I went down actually a bit of a green smoothie path. And in that process, over not that long a period of time, the need to have chocolate started to dissolve. And then I could go into Woolies, and where the sweet section would just bark at me, it lost its power. I actually became interested in the fruit and veg section, which if you said that to me several years ago, I would have said, you've just got to be joking. But there it was. I was actually deriving really enjoyable moments out of eating a mandarin. And the sweet stuff just lost its power. So since that time, I don't have any before and afters because I wasn't actually contemplating this, although I checked my driver's license, which is kind of interesting, and I had a fat face. The thing is, I lost 12 kilos following this approach.
That's great. Well, you look super fit, so yeah.